All right, so we got one of our problems here. We have a skateboarder with a spring here, and I'm asking you to find all types of energy and any missing values at these three spots. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to identify what types of energy are present at each. So we basically have three that we're working through. We have gravitational potential energy, kinetic energy, and spring potential energy. So I look here, we're at zero height. They're not moving and he's got a spring compressed. So I can tell you right now that we have potential energy in the spring present, right? And that is 1/2 kx squared. All right, so we're going to need to calculate that. Here, we see that there is a height, so automatically there's going to have to be some gravitational potential energy. And I can assume that is probably moving at this point, so there's going to be kinetic energy. There's no spring present at this point, so therefore we don't have to worry about any spring potential energy. So here are the equations for each of those. I get to the top, it says velocity is 0, so I can't have any kinetic energy, but I do have a height, so I'm going to have my gravitational potential energy. All right, so I've identified each of the energies that are present at each spot. Now I got to see what I can calculate. So I start here since I got some numbers I can work with. All right, so we got 1/2 K, which is 1250 Newton meters, times 4 squared. Plug that into my calculator. I have a gravitational potential energy of 10,000 joules. Now, this is an important number because this is the only thing present at this point. So what I could also say is that my total mechanical energy, which is the total energy present, is going to be 10,000 joules. That's important information that I could use elsewhere. All right, so I figured out my gravitational, or my gravitational, sorry, that's the spring, my spring potential energy, 10,000 joules stored up right here with this person. All right, I take a look here. I got velocity, I got my height, okay, but I don't have, if I look here, think, okay, I got my height, gravity is 10, but my mass I don't have. And I need my mass for this one. And these are going to have to add up to this, all right, because that's my total mechanical energy. So I'm kind of stuck. I can't really go anywhere with this. So let's move on to the next place. All right, my gravitational potential is the only thing present. So I know, because my total mechanical energy is conserved, that at every point, no matter where I choose, it's going to have to add up to 10,000. So that means that my gravitational potential energy is 10,000 joules. My mass, don't know, 10 times 10. So I can solve for my mass now. It's the only variable that's not, that we don't have a value for. 10 times 10 is 100, so I divide by 100. That'll cross out those. All right, so my M, all right, cross out zeros, equals 100 kilograms. All right, so I have my mass now. Great. Is there anything else I can calculate at this point? Doesn't look like it. All right, so I have a mass of 100 kilograms. So what I could do is plug it into here. Now, my potential energy at this point is 100, that's my M, times 10, times 3. All right, so that equals 3,000 joules. In which then I know now that my kinetic energy will be 7,000, which I'm going to need to know that, okay, because 10,000 minus 3,000 is 7,000, so equals 1/2 times 100 times v squared. All right, so I multiply by 2 on each side, gives me 14,000 divided by 100. All right, so I got 14,000 divided by 100. That's crossed out each of those. Kind of speeding through some of those. All right, cross out the zeros. I get 140 equals v squared. All right, take the square root of each side. I know it's going to be in the, we'll see here. I'll just do my calculator. 140. I'm going 11.8 meters per second. at that point. All right, so the big takeaways from here, we've solved everything, is I got to look through and figure out what I can first solve. Right? I need to identify what types of energy are present. That's probably your first step. All right, and then the ones that have just one typically are a good place that you can calculate stuff out. When you got multiple, you kind of are dependent on calculating the others first. So I had some information here about my spring, and therefore I could calculate my spring potential energy. This is the energy stored in that spring because it's being compressed with this amount of force for every meter it's compressed. And I know that this number now equals my total mechanical energy, and I'm going to be able to use this to help me elsewhere. All right, I was able to most immediately do it here because I didn't have a mass given to me. But I knew that this had to equal 10,000. I know gravity's 10. The height is given to me, so I can calculate my mass. I can then reverse back here and take a look at each of these. I was able to find my gravitational potential energy at 3 meters, which is 3,000 joules. And then I know that my kinetic energy has to be 3,000 plus this to equal 10,000. So 10,000 minus 3,000 is 7,000. That's why I get this. Plug the values in that I have to solve for V. Right? And so I got this to be 140. Let me just quickly double check that I did some of that in my head. Yeah, that was right. Okay. Just making sure. And so I got 140, took square root of that, got 11.8 meters per second, how fast I was going right at this point. Which again, if we knew the height of any of these other points, we could calculate that out as well. So hopefully you have a decent understanding of this, can kind of work through this process. If you're able to do this, then you're going to be prepared for the test this week. And so I wanted to give you a chance to kind of practice that and also be able to refer back to an example that can be helpful as well. So any question, please reach out.